Hi, everybody. There was a pretty interesting question on one of my videos recently that somebody posted, and the question is around why would increasing consumption of dietary fat lead to dizziness? So, as per usual, I can't provide any medical advice over social media. Anything that I'm saying is for informational purposes only, and if you need medical advice, please talk to your healthcare provider to get that advice. But just speaking generally about this topic, it's not a common thing to see, but I've seen this in some of my patients over the course of time. I've had the privilege of seeing a lot of really atypical things in my practice because I mostly see patients with complex chronic illness and they tend to be unique in some of the facets of their cases. There's quite another part of the question was around like, could this be a deficiency? And I think it was vitamin B2 or vitamin B3 or something like that. And maybe that could be part of it. I mean, one of the reasons that a person might become dizzy because of consuming more fat is because their body can't handle the fat. And on a cellular level, we might not be able to handle digesting fat, or rather, being able to utilize fat as an energy source if we are low in certain cofactors. And I mean, to metabolize any type of energy, whether it's coming from fat, protein, or carbohydrates, we need vitamin B3. We also need vitamin B2 for that. We need a bunch of other things too. A person or dizziness from consuming more fats could be due to an inability or inefficiency of actually processing those fats on a cellular level. In my clinical experience, with the few patients that I've seen where fats trigger dizziness or other, we'll say, non-digestive tract symptoms. I mean, I've had a plethora of patients over time where eating fat exacerbates their gastrointestinal issues. Usually it's because there's an insufficiency of bile production. So we work with things to get the bile moving, or work with an ox bile supplement or something to that effect, and that helps. But in terms of increased fat consumption causing more systemic symptoms like dizziness, I've more commonly seen that related to issues with vitamin B5 and with carnitine. You need vitamin B5 and carnitine in order to shuttle fatty acids into the mitochondria to be broken down, or to be broken down and utilized as a fuel source, metabolized as a fuel source to create more ATP. And so I've seen that help several patients actually who went on a higher fat diet. And this, I'm not talking about like a full-blown ketogenic diet consuming hundreds of grams of fat every day. Just folks who are trying to work with a diet that's a bit higher in fat and just couldn't seem to tolerate it well. Carnitine and B5 were quite helpful when taken at the right therapeutic dose. Another reason that a person, in my experience, might become dizzy when they're consuming more fat is because when we consume more fat, it does stimulate, trigger our livers to produce more bile, excrete more bile through the biliary system and from the gallbladder, if a person still has their gallbladder. Around here in Nova Scotia, not as many gallbladder removals nowadays, but there was a bit of a rash of them. It was all the craze apparently back in the day. It's like, got a little tummy ache, let's take out the gallbladder, see if it goes away. I'm exaggerating, of course, but there's a certain demographic in my region here where just a lot of gallbladder removals. So if a person has a gallbladder, eating more fat will help to, will increase the rate at which bile is being released from the liver gallbladder. And in doing that, at least clinically, what I think is going on there, or what that can trigger, is just sending a signal to the rest of the body to say, oh, we're flushing out more bile, let's send more toxins to the liver to be processed, because evidently we're flushing things out more. It would be like if there was a news announcement saying, we've got 100 new garbage trucks, like, in the city. So on, waste management collection day, there's going to be 100 more garbage trucks. People might be more inclined to just put more garbage out to the road, thinking, of course, like, there's more removal available. Let's send more stuff out to the curb. And so if the body's not ready for that, if the liver is saying like, oh no, we're flushing the stuff out, but we're not able to metabolize things faster. We can't, run our phase 1 and phase 2 detox reactions faster. We're just upregulating our phase 2.5 reaction, which would be more of a bile-mediated reaction. Then that could lead to a backlog and possibly some issues. The other thing that could potentially happen is, as more toxins are being flushed into the intestinal tract, depending on what toxins we're talking about, if it's something like mycotoxins or maybe mercury or other particularly nasty toxins, if there isn't a binder on board, or there's not enough fiber in the diet, then which can act as a natural binder, or like a dietary binder, if you will, then it may be that some of those toxins get recirculated, get into the bloodstream, some of them get into the brain, and then that could potentially cause some dizziness. So kind of to summarize it down into, or distill it down into two the two areas that I've seen when increased fat consumption causes dizziness, it's either a fat metabolism issue or it's a detoxification related issue. That's what I've seen in my practice. So again, not a common thing. I haven't seen hundreds of cases of that, but in the maybe 2 dozen, 3 dozen cases or so that I've seen where that's been an issue, it's been one or the other, or sometimes elements of both. So thank you for the question. Quite a unique question. If you have if anyone listening has any questions, whether they be unique or non-unique, please feel free to post in the comment section below, and I will answer as soon as I can.